So here I am. I am on day 3 with this Aprilia Tuareg Rally. I've got just under 300 miles so far, and trying to get that 600 mile service done sooner than later so I can take this thing where it deserves to be, not just the flatlands of Florida here with a 8-foot rise in the road as the highest hill in 5 square miles. So been breaking it in. The bike really it's really fantastic. I've had many sport bikes. That's kind of like my background is some road racing background, and had a lot of various sport bikes and sport naked bikes. Lots of different engines. I love V-twins. And then I ended up getting a Honda Rally, the 300, and it just wasn't good enough. It was kind of gutless, and with doing any road miles for me, and the suspension being really just having no dampening, it wasn't quite what I was looking for, actually. And after that, I had a Suzuki V-Strom 800 DE that I did almost a cross-country trip. Rode it from Florida to Colorado, took it to Tail of the Dragon, did some sport riding, did some gravel road stuff. Nothing too intense. It was a pretty good touring bike though. Really a great road bike. And I have not ridden the version with the smaller wheels, which I imagine is even better. The engine on that thing is really great. So, but back to this bike. Really nice feeling motorcycle. Let's see if this guy, oh, he doesn't know how lanes work. It's fun. We love a good roundabout. So this bike, coming right off of the showroom, I think it's, barring only a couple other bikes that might compete, and you would hope so for the price, right? The 890R, the Rally, have not ridden one of those. I have ridden a Norden. Anyway, back to the bike. It's just got that nice responsive feel to it that I have had a couple of Aprilias in the past, and I actually I had a big problem with the first year RSV4. It was kind of a nightmare, but I'm hoping that I'm not bit again. But not buying a first model year bike, not an accident. I hadn't paid too much close attention to the Tuareg actually until the past year or so, where some people were saying, hey, this thing's actually possibly a better bike than the ever popular Tenere, and it handles better. It's got a lower center of gravity. The engine's got more just excitement about it. And the Aprilia, in its DNA, certainly they know what they're doing when it comes to handling on the roadside, which definitely is a factor for me. I do a fair amount of road miles, and I have a 350 for off-road, for the more gnarly stuff, let's say. So I'm not trying to treat this like an enduro bike, but I want this thing to be able to do just about anything that I would want to throw at a 400 plus pound bike, and be able to do some real distances. And it's really checking the boxes for me. I mean, I absolutely love the way this bike looks. I think it's one of my favorite liveries on almost any motorcycle of the past 20 something years. There's like a few small rare exceptions that might, you know, compete with it, but I put it up there with really just about anything. And all the small refinements that they've made for, actually this is a 2026 model according to Aprilia. They were late getting them to the US. They started showing up to people a couple weeks ago, and now I think most people have accepted their pre-order deliveries, and the forums are exploding with comments and the ever-ending, never-ending questions about accessories, of course, too. I will say that I have this Moscow Moto Gnome tank bag, and it fits rather perfectly. Doesn't get in the way of the bars at full lock in either direction, and doesn't take up too much room in its sideways landscape configuration. And man, this thing is just, the transmission has been smoothing out bit by bit. It felt nice and robust right from the dealer, but it's just everything is getting smoother on that transmission. It feels really good. The throttle response is nice and sharp, and I'm in this Explore mode. It's got the drive modes that you can switch between real easily. I'm not like real big on electronics necessarily when it comes to my motorcycles, but having the few modes here, I can see why people like having it there. I can easily switch to an off-road setting just with the flick of a button, and now I have ABS off and traction control off. So really that took, what, you know, less than 2 seconds. While you're riding, you just let off the throttle, and now I have just a little bit more snappy throttle response in this mode also. So if I'm kind of just, you know, if I'm just kind of chilling, I will leave it in one of the other modes. Right now I have this Explore. It's basically right in the middle. There's the engine mapping, and there's about 4, I think, settings inside the advanced menu, and this one's kind of like the standard middle of the road, not too soft, not too snappy. It works well. It's definitely not boring. You can certainly feel it's softer on when you put the throttle and the engine management into the AEM, they call it, Aprilia engine management, I believe it's called. So yeah, I mean, what else? You've got a decent dash with some average fuel, average speed, your current fuel consumption, which I do like being able to watch that. Pretty similar to the Suzuki. The other thing though that's also nice is no matter what mode you're in, you can flick this button on the left, and even if you're, let's just say I'm over somewhere else, like I'm looking at the, you know, fuel consumption, if I hit this toggle switch on the left and I just bump it, now I bump my traction control up. On the dash it says ATC 3, and then I can just flick it down. Now I'm on 1, which is the minimum traction control. And then if I have no throttle, if I hold that thing down like 1 second, now I have traction control off. Yeah, the thing sounds so good. This bike just sounds incredible. For a stock bike, there's so few bikes that you can buy off the showroom that sound decent, besides the, you know, obviously off-road competition models, non-street legal stuff, that doesn't count. But I don't know how many bikes I've bought where I felt like I don't even really have to do anything to it. I don't feel like I need to flash an ECU, change the suspension, totally upgrade it, because it's just, you know, this thing is really well rounded. Has such a great feel to it. There's only a couple really minor details that I could nitpick. One of them is checking the oil. There's no sight glass. It's a black plastic dipstick that you have to kind of scuff up to make easier to read. I mean, having a sight glass would be nice. I feel like it's been sort of the standard on a lot of bikes for a very long time. And the other very small item that I've noticed is on the handlebar here, where the metal wraparound handguards, which the Rally come with, which is really nice to have. The clamp to the bar is actually some type of plastic, and I don't know if that's just designed to be a failure point, but I most certainly think that it will fail in the event of, you know, an impact or a crash. I could totally see that thing breaking. There's just a plastic tang that goes forward and mounts to the, you know, bar of metal that wraps around. So I might have to see what those look like as a replacement part, just to like throw one in just in case for the future. I mean, it does maybe take away some of there's like a rubber gasket inside of that plastic bracket, and I can imagine taking away a little bit of vibrations doing it that way, but it's definitely not the strongest material. Let's see here. We're gonna do an illegal U-turn. Yeah, this thing's feeling like just about fully broken in. Every gear is just snicks right into gear just the way you want it to. Feels nice and smooth. A little bit of exhaust burble never hurt anybody either. You know, the other thing I'll say is, while standing here in the, you know, the throes of the rally here in Florida, what a landscape, right? Standing is really, really comfortable. The bars are higher than most bikes I've ridden. They're in a nice position for me to, I'm at 6 foot, basically right on 6 feet, and I haven't measured my inseam in a long time. I think I'm around a 33, maybe 34. And with boots on, the way your legs kind of slot in to where the gas tank is, it's just really nice ergonomically. You can even drop your legs forward right up into those slots. Basically, it's like you're resting your knees behind the shrouds on what is actually the air box, not the gas tank. The gas tank does not come up that high. There's a little there's like a neck to the top of the gas tank, and then it starts taking gas maybe 4 or 5 inches lower than that, and then most of the fuel is really right underneath you, right in the middle of the bike. Definitely contributes to the light handling nature of this bike. Yeah, this thing handles so good. Alright. We'll see how the interstate goes. Maybe just a little bit of this before the microphone dies. Man, this bike feels so good. For such a small displacement, you know, relatively small, the term middleweight, I find it funny because, you know, this is a street bike weight-wise. It's over, you know, 400 something pounds, 440, 438, I'm sorry, or whatever the number is. Doesn't matter. It's no dirt bike, you know. I don't classify anything around this weight as, you know, lightweight or anything. I mean, anything over 400 pounds is not a lightweight ADV bike, no matter what the engine displacement is. But I think this thing, for what people actually use an adventure bike for, this has got to be one of the best. I mean, I can just comfortably pass traffic, cruise. It just does it, you know? The engine is so smooth. I mean, I'm under 6,000 RPMs, you know, at 75. And that's not even accounting for cruise control, something that most bikes don't have. I mean, I was pretty surprised that Suzuki did not have that on the V-Strom. That bike they really should have it. The only thing this bike is missing, I think, is the quick shifter. It should come with it. The V-Strom, the Suzuki 800s, I don't know if all of them, I think all of them, they come with a quick shifter, and it's just a nice feature. It's not a must-have, but it's certainly nice to have it. And for this bike, you know, costing a little bit of a premium over the Suzuki, it should probably have that feature that they, you know, sell as an accessory. But that's really one of the only very, very minor gripes I can make about this bike. I mean, I'm just tapping up on the cruise control. Just tap this button on the left to accelerate. And knock it back down. It's interesting how it works. You can actually roll on the gas above your whatever your set speed is for cruise, and then you roll off of it and it'll just resume right back to where that was. I do like how that works. One of the other strange features on this bike is the way there's like daytime running lights and the headlamp that you can manually turn on and off with this button on the right. That's kind of a different way of a headlight operating. So then you have obviously your brights over on the left and flash those. But yeah, this thing's very, very comfortable to, you know, put in some miles and still just light enough to do, I think, what just about anybody is going to use an adventure bike for. It's kind of an interesting trend that we're in. We're in like is it a movement? Everybody wants to get an adventure bike. even if they've never gone off-road before, that it's like this mass appeal to do it. I think most people are going to end up on the road or some kind of very simple track very much more often than an enduro situation, especially with a 400 or 500 pound bike when you add everything to it. So yeah, I think really this might be the Goldilocks just right. Anything smaller than this displacement wise, I don't think it's enough for me on the street. You know, the 500, the 450 twins, the 400 singles, all that, they don't have enough punch for me to get excited about them, especially doing any kind of highway mileage. And you're definitely going to have some of that here in the US. It's just enough power to have fun, do some nice sporting riding, but you know, but hopefully not lose your license too easily, which is something that has, you know, happened. I'll skip that story, but you know, having 180 horsepower on tap, it's not, you don't have that much more fun on the street with that level of horsepower. You just can't even use it. You're in triple digits in, you know, the bottom of second gear, and it's just too easy. Aprilia really did an awesome job with this bike. It's really just so linear. I mean, I feel like a lot of the parallel twins are, I guess, but feels like a bigger engine than a 660.